Talk about Jesus more and more. Yesterday, today, forever, Jesus is the same. All may change, but Jesus never. Glory to his name. Glory to his name. Sing it. Glory to his name. All may change, but Jesus never. Glory to. This is going to come as a great surprise to you, what I'm about to say. But I've never had a voice lesson. I was in this cooler one time, and I thought I could do that. And they locked me in the cooler and left me there. Everybody get located, got something on the fire cooking about to burn. Ooh. 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 It is 1999. Tell me, did you attend pastor school in 1995? What is the thing you got the most out of pastor school? Ooh. Ooh. Please do not throw airplanes. That's a little bit too much. Everybody get located. Everybody sit down too. Nobody standing back in the back. Everybody sit down. At First Baptist Church of Hammond, the ushers don't play around in the hallway while preaching is going on. Everybody listens. Everybody get located. Have a seat back there in the center aisle. Everybody. Okay, I'm going to take just about 4 minutes while folks are getting settled. If you have any question about anything thus far. Yes, sir. School curriculum is being worked on. I hate to say it. We're using it this year to an extent in our schools, but it's not going to be ready for this fall. We're working every day on it. We have 3 or 4 people, all more than that, 5 or 6 working full time, but it's just not going to be ready for this fall. We are going to have it, and I'd be shocked if we don't have it ready for the grade school by a year from this September. Yes, sir, real loud. All you're doing is covering your mouth like that. Do it like this. After looking at your mouth, cover it, would you please? Go ahead. What are you talking about? We have a special department for folks like you here in our church. It may be that I should go myself instead of you. You know what he's asking? Oh, okay. Why didn't you tell me? There was a builder building a house across the street, and we had good relationship always with our neighbors. Built a brand new house, and he couldn't sell it quickly, so he let us use it for Sunday school. J.B. Cumbus will remember this if he's still here. He'll remember it if he's not still here. But J.B. remember this because we only had one little building, and we had chairs, didn't have pews, just folding chairs. They were all just cheap metal folding chairs. So this guy let us have his house on Sunday for Sunday school, brand new house for sale, and had 5 rooms. And we put 5 Sunday school classes over there on Sunday morning. But we didn't have any chairs. We couldn't afford any chairs. So we came to an opening assembly in the little auditorium and sat in those folding chairs. Then everybody took their chair and went across the street. Miller Road's a busy street, sort of like Sibley out here. And all of our people, all of our adults went over there for Sunday school. and we carried our chairs with us. If you came early to church, a totally empty auditorium was there, no chairs at all. You had to come to Sunday school to get a seat during church. And when Sunday school was over, we'd carry the chairs back over and put them in the auditorium. And we had chairs in the auditorium. Thanks for reminding me. One more quick one if you have a question. Yes, sir. I saw this hand first. I'll get to you next. Oh, okay. This is about pastor school now. Please don't. Yes, sir, over here. We don't encourage our people to run for office, though one of our men's running for mayor this time has an excellent chance to get it. We don't encourage that. But I told my people we cannot legally endorse a candidate. Only black folks can do that. But only Jesse Jackson's crowd can do that. But we can't do it. I said, I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you not to vote for, so don't vote for the other fellow. But I don't encourage our folks to get involved in politics, though we do have a man, as I said, who's running for mayor this year. I don't know if he'll get it or not, but he does have a good chance. All right, everybody be seated. Got something really exciting for you. Everybody find a seat. Our Father, bless us now as we enter into another session, please. May it be a benefit, and yes, a blessing, and yes, a delight. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm excited about this person I'm going to introduce to you. Sit down, please. I'm excited about this. Come on, have a seat. Let me sing the song, Waddling On, Waddling On. Sit down. Man, if we'd known you were coming, we'd made more space between these pews. Okay, let's bring some sanity back. Let's worship the Lord in the beauty of His holiness. The next guest is the person other than Mrs. Hyles and my sister. No, other than my sister. This person has known me longer than Mrs. Hyles has. This person has known me, if I'm correct, my memory is correct, this person has known me for about 62 years. This young lady went to, I know we were in grade school together. I would not be surprised if we were in the first grade together. Her father taught me how to pitch softball. Of course, I was 13 years old when I was in the first grade, but her father taught me how to pitch softball. Took a personal interest in me. His name was Pop. Some folks called him Doc, some folks called him Pop. One of the best men I ever knew. When I was just a little boy, 5, 6 years old, they lived around the corner from us. They lived a few houses from Fernwood Baptist Church down Fernwood, and we lived a couple of houses from the church up Ann Arbor Hill. And there were Pop Freeman and then Mrs. Freeman, and of course they've gone to heaven now. But they had a son named Craig. Craig was the man for whom I was, are you listening to me? Craig was a man for whom I was preaching a revival when Miller Road Baptist Church came over, and pulpit committee came over from Miller Road Baptist in Garland. I was pastor in Henderson at the time. The person I'm going to introduce to you, we went through elementary school together. She was always the best girl, always was. She was the good girl and I was the good boy in school. We were both too poor to afford to do anything bad. And this young lady, we grew up together, and she, if a boy in school can have a girlfriend who's not in the sense of a sweetheart, she was my friend. We sat in the same Sunday school department together. I do not know if she was in Mrs. Bethel's class with me. I do not know. But I do know we were the same age, about the same age. And here's the main reason we had her come. I'm going to tell you how Mrs. Hyles and I had our first date. I'd graduated from high school. I had known Beverly Slaughter, that's Miss Hyles' maiden name. I had known Beverly Slaughter for several years as we were growing up in the Hillcrest Baptist Church, but she was younger than I, still is. But she was younger than I, and I never thought about dating her because when I was 16, she was 13, and that 16-year-old boys they think 13-year-old girls are mighty small. But I got out of high school and I was waiting to go to the Army, and I'd broken up with my girlfriend, and I needed a date for a Friday night. You won't believe this, but it's true. I needed a date for a Friday night. Well, I was working at the Dallas Railway and Terminal Company and pitching softball. Her dad was the manager of my softball team whom I pitched. And he also was a softball pitcher, but he was older, and when I couldn't pitch, he did. But I was sitting there in the Dallas Railway and Terminal Company on lunch hour. Listen to me now. And I needed a date for Friday night. I couldn't think of anybody, so I picked up the phone book. Just started thumbing through the pages of the phone book, see if I come across a girl whom I knew. And I just was thumbing through it, and I got down to the S's, and I saw Slaughter. Yeah, Beverly Slaughter. I haven't seen her in a long time. She was a pretty thing when she was growing up. I bet you, I think I'll call her. Picked up the phone, called Beverly Slaughter. I said, Beverly, this is Jack Hyles. I'd like to have a date with you Friday night. She said, I can't, I'm going steady. I said, look, you can break it just one time. And she said, no, I'm going steady, and I can't do it. I hung up, I forgot about it. Used to have in churches as I was growing up what they call citywide study courses. All the Baptist churches in Dallas would go to First Baptist Church Dallas, and they'd have different study courses for different ages. Well, I went to everything. I didn't miss anything. Neither did this guest I'm going to introduce right now. She was always at everything. I don't care if it's our church or if our church was cooperating in some kind of a citywide endeavor. She is always there. So I went to this study course, and this young lady walked up to me, and she said, Jack. I said, yeah. She said, I know somebody wants to date you. Now Ms. Hyles didn't go to these study courses, transportation and so forth, and her mother was not as active in church as my mother was, but Beverly was always faithful to church. But I didn't expect to see Beverly there. And Joanne came up, and this young lady, and she said, I know somebody wants to date you. And I said, who? And Joanne smiled, and she said, Beverly Slaughter. I said, no, she's going steady. She said, no, she broke up with her boyfriend because she wants to date you. And I said, where is Beverly now? I'll call her. She said, right over in the corner. I looked over in the corner, and there's Beverly just grinning up a storm. Oh. And woof, woof, woof. And so I walked over, and that's where Beverly Slaughter and I had our first talk, and about we had a date, and we went to a revival meeting on our first date. And there's so many things. This lady goes back, and I don't know when I've seen her. I do not recall. It has been. By the way, we in church we were in the same department, and then we moved over to another area and went to Hillcrest Baptist Church, and they did too. And so she spans two churches: Fernwood Baptist, where I was as a little boy, and Hillcrest Baptist, where I was as a teenager. I don't know where she is this morning. I do not remember the last time I saw her. I imagine she was a teenager the last time I saw her. And Joanne Freeman Cantrell. Who are you, Joanne? Would you come out, please? Where's Joanne? Here she is, right over here. Cornell here? I'm so glad to see you. Over here with this mic right here. Now, Joanne, I'm going to tax your memory for a minute. Did we go to the first grade together?
Yes, we did. I love that school.
I remember Lisbon School.
Lisbon School.
And I remember our teacher, first grade teacher's name. Remember?
Miss Sharp.
That's it, Mrs. Sharp.
I remember all my teachers.
Do you really?
I
remember one of mine. That's Miss Sharp. But she was, and we were in the first grade together, and then all the way through grade school.
That's right.
And then turn her up, please. And then junior high school.
We went to Ballard Story Junior High.
Ballard Story Junior High.
We didn't go to the same high school.
Where'd you go?
I went to Sunset.
Then Beverly went to Sunset also.
Beverly went to Sunset.
And I went to Adams. And those are the two high schools you could choose between back in those days if you lived in Trinity Heights. Your dad and mother both in heaven.
That's right.
And do you remember the story I just told about Beverly?
I don't remember that.
Oh,
Are you sure that happened?
Oh. You don't remember the study course at First Baptist?
I remember the study course, yes.
And you came to me and said there's somebody wants to go with you.
I don't remember that.
You don't? Miss McKinney, would you get her airplane ticket canceled, please? She can hitchhike back to Texas. You do remember when your dad and I played softball together?
Yes, I remember. My daddy played, he was a pitcher when he was 50 years old. He was still a softball pitcher.
He really was. And your dad was a deacon also, wasn't he?
That's right.
At Fernwood?
At Fernwood.
And also at Hillcrest. Was he a deacon there?
Yes.
And I remember in the day, our preacher didn't believe in having softball teams. We didn't think. And I remember the day your dad got a bunch of us together and went to him asking if we could have a softball team.
At Hillcrest?
Yes. Hillcrest Baptist Church. Where do you live now?
I live close to Sunset High School.
Oh, get out of here.
I live in a high-rise, 13-story high-rise senior adult apartment.
And so then, are we the same age? I'm 38.
We are. You're right.
My birthday is September 25th. When's yours?
My birthday is June the 4th.
So
I'm older than you.
You've always been like a mother to me. Do you remember Beverly's romance?
Yes, I remember it very well.
I was afraid you did. Tell us. Okay, I'm going to stick my neck out. What do you remember?
I remember that time she took your engagement ring off and threw it in the street in the mud because she was mad.
I don't remember that. Who told you that?
I was there. I saw it.
I'm not having as much fun as I thought I was. Go ahead. You remember anything else?
Well, somebody rescued it. I don't know who rescued it, but she put it back on, and they got married.
Oh, my. Anything else you remember about those days?
Well, I remember that Hillcrest was we had a wonderful youth group, and I love those young people. We had such good times together. I think we all benefited from each other's lives, and it was really a blessing.
Wouldn't you say this, Joanne? As we grew up together, we were never sweethearts.
No.
But we were unusual because we were good friends.
We were very good friends.
It was really an unusual thing. I mean, Joanne and I were pals. We were buddies. We were good friends. And oh, by the way, Cornell is here, isn't she?
Uh-huh.
Cornell, would you come up, please? Okay, just stand up where you are.
This is my little sister.
Come on up here. Hey, there's a picture.
She's my little sister.
If you've seen a picture of me as a boy on my knees like I'm proposing to somebody, haven't you ever seen that picture? As a picture we have made. Hi, Cornell. So nice to see you. Cornell, stand over here beside her. Do you remember going to Italy one time when you were a little girl?
Italy, Texas?
Yeah.
Oh, you bet.
with us.
That's where your cousin lived.
Yeah, right here. And talk right to Mike. And,
Now, Joanne remembers.
I remember
it better than
Edna
she
Earl.
oh, do you really?
I remember her.
Well,
She came to visit me, and I went to visit her.
Okay, now, did you have anything to do with me buying Mrs. Hyles' engagement ring?
I don't remember that.
Edna Earl did. I was leaving for the Army. I'd already been sworn in. We were at the train station, Union Station in Dallas, and I decided I wanted to get engaged to Beverly. The reason is, Beverly was going with a boy named Charlie Dickerson. He was a football star.
Charlie.
Remember Charlie Dickerson?
Yeah, we remember Charlie.
I didn't know that. I didn't remember that either.
How's that?
But there's too many things that we can't remember.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you just don't. Thank you for not remembering. Then she went with a fellow named Jack Wilkerson. Of all things, he was a beauty operator. He was a hairstylist, woman's hairstylist. So Beverly and I were going steady, I thought. Well, on Christmas, she gave me her picture, 8x10 picture. And I thought that was, and she put nice little words down here. What I didn't know, she had 3 copies made, one for Charlie Dickerson, Jack Wilkerson, and one for me. So I wanted to get her sewed up before I left the Army. But I was at the station and couldn't leave because I was already in the Army. They wouldn't let us leave. So I got Edna Earl, and she went out and bought the engagement ring, one you talked about.
Edna Earl did.
And she paid $19.95 and I gave it to her.
No wonder she threw it in the
Thank you for coming. God bless you. Joanne, I want you to stand right here. And I've written a little chorus that we've been singing for those people. And by the way, honestly, whether you remember it or not, Miss Hyles does, you were the reason that I would never have dated Beverly if you hadn't have told me that she wanted to date me. And you were a very vital part in those early days. And I want you to stand there. You and your family, you, your dad, we called him Pop, sometimes Doc. Pop, Doc Freeman, and he took an interest in me. He really did, and I was a boy. He was sort of a daddy to me when I didn't have one, and you were like a real sister to me also. I'm so glad to see you. You stand right there.
Because of you, I'm here today. You had a part in some small way. Whate'er I am or hope to be, you had a part in making me. You crossed my path one happy day and helped me find God's perfect way. I would not know the joys He hath had you not humbly crossed my path.
I'm going to ask you to stay here on the platform just for a few minutes.
Although that romance might have sounded a little bit stormy, that 1995 engagement ring that got thrown in the mud is still in the possession of a Beverly Slaughter Hyles today. During the time of their courtship and early marriage, there was a popular love song. The words of the song were set to a piece of classical music, and you might say that the "Till the End of Time" has become their song. Brother and Mrs. Hyles will celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary this year.
See you tomorrow, folks. That's all for today. Looks like to me if she didn't remember it, she could have lied about it anyway. Probably that Joanne Freeman and her family knew me as well as anybody. They'd take us to the doctor when we didn't have a car, and they'd take us to the doctor. So many things that they did. Let me share with you a few things now. Forgotten what we're talking about. Talking about the real young Jack Hyles now. Of course, we didn't rehearse that, but she sings it to me every night, just like that. I'll give you some things young Jack Hyles did in his ministry. You've seen an idea of things young Jack Hyles did other than his ministry. And next thing I want to tell you is that we always had a radio broadcast. Always. We don't have any here because our church is so well known and we have no problem there. But we always had in Marshall and in Henderson and in Garland, we always had radio broadcasts. Now I want to talk to you about that. There are several things. First is we did not preach on the radio broadcast. I got lipstick on. Good. Let me go get some on right quick. But we did not preach on the radio broadcast, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. Secondly, it was a howdy neighbor time. It was a public relation time. Third, we had what we call prayer time. Wonderful idea. At the start of the broadcast, I would say something like this. I would say, folks, every day on our broadcast, we have prayer time. In about 15 minutes, we'll be having prayer time. If you have a prayer request, you call in, and you call 932-0711, and you call in and tell us your prayer request. Their secretaries or some ladies at the telephone right now, and you call and give your prayer request. Then during the broadcast, they'd be calling in, and then a lady would come and later on, she'd give me those prayer requests. And we'd usually have anywhere from 15 to 50, and then we would pray for the people. And I'd ask the folks in the radio audience, I said, now I want you to pray. One of these days, you're going to need prayer, and you're going to want somebody to pray for you. So I want you to pray now for these. And as I would read the names, the people in the radio audience would pray with me, and we called that prayer time. And then I had a little book called Today. I would say now, on your birthday, this is what happened in history on your birthday. And I just turned here to one day. Right now, this is August 13th, 1521. Cortez took Mexico. 1908, Ira Sankey died. Ira Sankey was Dwight Moody's song leader. He was called the Golden Voice. It is said that people often gathered beneath his window just to hear him practice. One of his favorite songs that he would sing was Beneath the Cross of Jesus, and I have that song in here. On August 13th, same day, Florence Nightingale died. She said, as she died, "Thou knowest in all these horrible years I have been supported by the belief that I was working with thee, O God. Let us be laborers together with Christ also." And August 13th, 1927, the birthday of Fidel Castro. Every day has its blight and its bad time. This book is called Today. I use it every day on the broadcast. I made a habit for years of broadcasting, and I would keep a record of. I read books, and I'd keep the dates. Every time I could find a date, something happened on a certain, I'd write it down, and I kept those and then put them in a book. What is your birthday? What? February 5th. Let me see what happened in history on February 5th. February 5th. We didn't practice this. the first movie projector was invented. That's the one we saw on our first date together. That's 1861. 1900, Adlai Stevenson was born on your birthday. You weren't born then. 1837, on your birthday, Dwight L. Moody was born. Moody was born on Sunday. Interestingly enough, this was also his mother's birthday. Not only that, 1901, on your birthday, February 5th, Dr. G. Beecham Vick was born. Dr. Vick was one of the great men of our generation, pastor of the world's largest church at the time, Temple Baptist Church in Detroit, president of one of the great schools of that day, the Baptist Bible College of Springfield. Dr. Vick led hundreds and thousands of people. I'm on the broadcast now, you see. Led hundreds of thousands of people in God's Word. He's one of the most humble men, yet one of the greatest organizers I've ever met. It's been my privilege to know him well. Let us thank God for his great ministry and pray God to give him many years of service. Pray for the Baptist Bible Fellowship today and the many churches therein. Some of the greatest churches in the world and some of the finest preachers were in this fellowship. 1893, on your birthday, Dr. Ford Porter was born. Dr. Ford Porter, a patriarch. His tract, God's Simple Plan of Salvation, has gone around the world. He was one of the most warm-hearted Christians I've ever met. I preached in his church many times, and I preached his funeral service. And thank God for Ford Porter. Pray for his work today, for God's blessings to rest upon the tract, God's Simple Plan of Salvation. On your birthday, February 5th, Ann and Adoniram Judson were married. Of course, all Christians know the story behind this great missionary couple. By the way, in case you'd like to know this, they got married on February the 5th. On February the 6th, he was ordained to preach. On February the 7th, they sailed for India. And that's what happened on your birthday. Now, this book has every day in the year and what happened on that day. It's a wonderful data devotional book. I'm going to sell it after a while. That's why I just started getting you acquainted with it right now. Well, Mike, what's your birthday? What? 24th of September. Let's see what happened on the 24th of September. It's the day before the great Dr. Jack Hyles was born. No. According to as best we can tell in the Bible, the work was recommenced on the temple in 520 B.C. The temple in the Old Testament is a very interesting thing. As we mentioned yesterday, Mrs. Hyles and I have been to the temple site and stood there. And the temple in the New Testament is something different. Many people have the idea that the temple is the church building. This is not so. The New Testament temple is the body of the Christian, 1 Corinthians 3:16, and I have that all there. On your birthday, September 24th, the gold panic in New York City began, 1869. On your birthday, troops were sent to Little Rock, Arkansas by President Eisenhower when the race problem was there. On your birthday, September 24th, 1955, it's also Gold Star Mother's Day, honoring those who lost boys in the service. And in 1955, President Eisenhower suffered a heart attack on your birthday. And I'd use that on the broadcast. And that would be a part of it. Now, then I'd give a thought for the day. Maybe a poem, maybe a little story. Listen to me now back here. A little story and a little poem, some thought for the day. Let me tell you my philosophy of broadcasting, and I may be totally wrong. But as a young preacher, I wanted to get known, but didn't want to get real known. So my broadcast, I didn't preach on them. I would give enough of what I believed so fundamental people would know that I was their kind, so they'd come to our church if they wanted to. But I would not give enough to keep the others away from our church. I wanted to wait and make them mad when they got to church. I feel like that sometimes see, in a church service like this, there's a spirit and there's something going on. And it's totally different from just listening to the radio. So I never did, pardon the expression, play all my hand on the radio. It was a folksy kind of a howdy-do time, a get-acquainted time, prayer time, what happened on your birthday time. And by the way, sometimes we'd sing happy birthday to the folks in radio after I'd read this what happened on your birthday. Next idea. I bought space, when I was a young preacher, I bought space in the local newspaper. Brother Randy, is it all the way down? Do so, would you please? I bought space in the local newspaper. Now listen to me carefully. I did not put the usual ad in. Revival, Grange Hall Baptist Church, old-fashioned church. I didn't do that. I bought a little column in the newspaper. I called it The Pastor's Study. And I was a columnist in the paper, and I paid for it. But I was a columnist in the paper. Over here on the left side, maybe, of one of the pages, a little column, and it said Pastor's Study and had my picture. And under that, I would have an article. Once again, I wouldn't have an article lambasting mixed women. I wouldn't have an article showing everything I believe. The article is like the broadcast. It was enough to let people know that I was a fundamentalist, but it was not enough to get them mad before they ever came to church. Now, I don't think that's compromise. I think that's pretty good sense. If you don't preach at all while they're at church, you're a compromiser. But I'm trying to get them to come to church and feel the spirit of our services. I remember we had this bank over here. We wanted to borrow some money, and we'd never borrowed over $500,000. I mentioned a while ago about the friendship we had with the bank, and I want to remind you again that you'd be amazed, you'd be shocked how much admiration the business community has for this church. Now, they don't come here, all of them. I mean, most of them don't. I'm going to tell you something really shocking. I've lived in this town 35 and a half years, same house. I've driven down the same streets, I've traded the same stores with people, and for 35 and a half years. When my big battle came in 1959, the businessmen and the business community of this area stood by me better than the fundamental preachers of America did. Now that's because we lived here, and they knew me. Last Sunday morning, I made mention yesterday, all these 1,600 people walked the aisle for salvation, 500 got baptized, and you'd have seen a lot of deaf people, and you'd have seen a lot of bus people, and you'd have seen a lot of public school, probably 100 public school, high school students. Our Bible clubs got saved Sunday morning. But what you didn't know is that there was a orthopedic surgeon got saved Sunday morning also. And a successful businessman in town got saved Sunday morning also. You don't know about stuff like that. It gets lost in the shuffle. But I would buy space in the paper, and I had to put down at the bottom of the article paid political advertisement or something like that. But that was way down there. It looked like I was a columnist in the paper, and I would write something about if it was Easter time, I'd write something about maybe Easter is not a religious holiday, but we don't mind taking a day a year to thank God that Jesus lives, and we don't, and I might go that far. The fundamentalists there would know what I was talking about. I might even go so far as to say that Jesus probably was not crucified on a Friday. He's probably crucified on Wednesday. That didn't hurt anybody. It let the fundamentalists know what I stood for. And but then when they come to church, I may let them have it. But I don't want to keep people away from church by my advertising. In case you'd like to know it, the purpose of advertisement is to get folks to come to church. That's what it's all about. And so we would use the papers as a local columnist in the paper. Next thing we did when I was a young preacher, I wanted to get in the homes of all the people, and so I put a little sheet on the back door of the church. And the folks wrote on that sheet when they wanted to have us for lunch. Ms. Hyles and I would go to lunch every Sunday with a church member, and they would just write down when they wanted to have us, and that'd be on the back door of the church. Another thing I did, when I was a young preacher, I did not teach a Sunday school class. I teach an auditorium class from this pulpit every Sunday morning right now, and the people are scattered all over the building, but I enjoy it and I teach it. And the church is too big. We have 800 Sunday school classes now. Over 800 Sunday school teachers. Are you listening to me now? Over 800. Listen to me now. No talking. And but as a young preacher, I didn't teach a Sunday school class. Here's what I do. I'd go one Sunday to the beginner department. They knew I was coming. And I'd go to the beginner department, and I would I'd walk in, and by the way, they'd make a big day out of it. The preacher's coming. You know, around First Baptist Church of Hammond, biggest thing in the world is to see the preacher.
Yes, sir.
It is. See the preacher. I don't make it that way, but I try to make it where they want to see me, towards the delight to see me. I'm not a reverend. I'm a preacher, and so I'd go to a department and I'd send word and I'd say, now, let's just say 3 weeks from this Sunday, I'm coming to the beginner department, and I'm going to be a guest, and I'm going to bring some treats with me. And I'd go in there and I'd take some treats for the boys and girls, some little surprises to give them, a little snack maybe. And I'd go in there and I'd spend about 10 or 15 minutes with the beginner department. I'd walk in and I'd say, good morning, boys and girls. How are you? Fine. And boy, the preacher, my soul. Can you remember how the preacher looked when you were a beginner? Good night. And the eyes get big. I'd say, boys and girls, do you know who I am? Yeah. Who am I? One little boy said, don't you know? And I'd go through my little vacation Bible school routine like I do every year at vacation Bible school. I'd say, when I say 3, I want you to give your name, and I want you to say, my name is Jack Hyles, and they'd say, my name is Jack Hyles. I'd, no, that's not your name. Like I did, I'd get down on the floor and throw a fit. It was the biggest day of the whole year when the preacher came to our department, and it gave every department a big day on occasion. Next week, I'd go to the primary department and do the same thing there, and then the juniors, and then the junior high, and then the high school, and then I'd go to the adult Sunday school classes, and I toured the Sunday school. When I was at Grange Hall Baptist Church, I didn't teach a class. I toured the Sunday school every Sunday. I didn't go in my study and sit in my study preparing my heart to preach. Brother, if your heart's not prepared to preach at any time, just get out of the ministry. The drop of a hat, and I'll provide the hat, brother. I'm ready to preach. You don't have to get me in the mood to preach. I'm in the mood to preach all the time. And so I'd go to all the departments during Sunday school. You'd be amazed. It'll give you one big day in a department every Sunday. And they'll love it when the preacher comes in. All right? The next idea I want to share with you is I started churches. I started 16 churches when I was a young preacher. Now I want to tell you how I would start churches. I'll take an example. There's a church, you folks from the Dallas area will know where this is. Eastern Hills neighborhood. It's a little bit northeast of Garland, Texas. I went out to the Eastern Hills neighborhood. Now, by the way, it probably was only 4 or 5 miles from Miller Road Baptist Church. I went out Eastern Hills Baptist neighborhood, didn't have a church out there, and I set up a tent. That's what I do all the time. I'd set up a tent, and then after I set the tent up, I'd send out a newsletter to all the people in the neighborhood, telling them that I was going to start a church. And I'm going to have a revival. No, not start a church. Have a revival. Then I'd get a 4-page brochure printed, very nice brochure. And by the way, every brochure we have printed is a nice brochure. And so I'd get a brochure printed saying that we're going to have a revival meeting. Then I'd take 2 weeks to go visiting. Now, not soul winning. I hate to admit this, but no, not go soul winning. I didn't want the folks to get word in the neighborhood, this guy's trying to make Baptists out of everybody. I was just going to have revival. I've done this 16 times as a young preacher. And so I'd spend 2 weeks going, and I believe with all of my heart, I believe in PR. I believe in people knowing that you're nice and you're human. And so I'd go to house to house. I'd try to turn on the charisma, and I would explain to them we're having revival services for 2 weeks. It's down there at the fork of the roads in the Roseville neighborhood, not far from Eastern Hills community. And I'd send the letter out. I'd put the brochure in the doors, And then I would go to every house in the neighborhood and tell them about the revival for 2 weeks, and then I'd have revival for 2 weeks under the tent. I'd always get me some good musician. Somebody could play the accordion, somebody play the trumpet, somebody play the trombone, and they would play a lot of specials. I have a lot of good music. Then I'd preach about 30 minutes under the tent and have revival. Now I announced this. I announced that at the end of this revival, after 2 weeks, we're starting a church here in Eastern Hills, in Rose Hill neighborhood near Eastern Hills. And I would say, if you want to be a charter member of the church, you have until 2 weeks, until the last Sunday of the revival, to join the church, because we're going to have a charter service at the end of the revival, and we're going to start a church here, and we're going to, and I'd gone down to the First Assembly of God Church in Garland, and they had built a new building, and their old building was for sale. I bought their old building and had it moved about 5 miles down to the Eastern Hills neighborhood, church auditorium, had it moved, and I said, we're starting a church down there in the old First Assembly of God Church building, and if you want to be a charter member, you can join the church anytime during this revival. Then all the folks that got saved in that revival would have a chance to join the church. After 2 weeks was up, we'd have a charter service, have a church. You drive this day down 1st Street in Garland, Texas. You go south out of Garland, and you go down to the Eastern Hills community. You'll find a beautiful, big, red brick church there called the Eastern Hills Baptist Church. That was started by young Jack Hyles in a little tent out in the Rose Hill neighborhood, and I believe in starting churches. Brother, if I were a young preacher graduating from college, I wouldn't look for a pulpit committee. I'd look for a vacant lot. I really would. You can have more people in a church in 2 weeks if you'll do it right than you'll inherit, and you won't have any deacons to inherit at all, not any. You'll have no cancers, no problem. Nobody's been there since Grandma Moses died and has roots in, and they're running the thing. I'd start me a church. Brother, I'd like to see you young men out here start 1,000 churches across America. And let's get a bunch of new churches with new life and new blood. And so I started churches. Another idea. I prayed for my field by areas. Still do that. But I prayed for my field by areas. When I was in Garland, I was in Marshall. I'd go to a certain neighborhood and I'd pray there. I'd pray there an hour a day maybe, or an hour a night for a month. And I'd pray down conviction on that place. And I'd say, God, send the Holy Spirit, work in these houses. I'd drive up and down the street and drive around the block and walk around the block and walk up and down the street. And I'd beg God to convict the people in those houses and cause something to happen to the people. When I came to Hammond, I went out here to a street called Lindbergh Street, and I prayed out there at least an hour a day or night for months. And you know, all of a sudden, a family came and got saved from Lindbergh Street. And the next Sunday, they brought their neighbors and they got saved from Lindbergh Street. I'll promise you that we had 35 people saved from Lindbergh Street in 1 month, after I'd prayed for Lindbergh Street for night after night and day after day. Let me tell you something. Do you know the power of God is true, it's real? It's real. Did you know that all the methods you get will not take the place for getting the power of God and the hand of God upon your ministry and upon what you're doing? And so I still do this. I pray for certain areas of town, and I could tell you about case after case after case. Especially when I was a young preacher and had small towns. Henderson, Texas had 11,000 people. Marshall had about 20,000 people. We were outside of Marshall, but I'd go and pray. I went over the north side of Marshall and prayed. I was close to Second Baptist Church on the north side and other churches over there. And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And you know, we had people saved by the dozens from that north side of Marshall during those days and nights I was praying. Now, one thing it'll do, if you get praying for an area, you want to help God answer your prayer. Because you'll want to use an illustration someday like I'm using it now. So you'll find yourself going soul winning in that area. Another thing I did and still do. But I did it in those young days. I'd say, if you have somebody unsaved in your family, if you'll promise me that you'll pray every day 30 minutes for them for a month, I'll go visit them after a month. Wonderful things happened that way. Mrs. Jim Ford's husband got saved that way. Mrs. Ford was a member of our church in Marshall, Grange Hall. She weighed about 240 pounds. She's a big gal. And she had a husband who was an alcoholic named Jim Ford. And I told Miss Ford, if you'll pray 30 minutes a day for Jim's salvation, I'll go see him and talk to him, try to win him. After you pray for a month, 30 minutes a day for a whole month, I'll go see Jim Ford. And she prayed and she prayed and she prayed. Christmas was on Sunday that year. That morning she came to church, and I'd heard her pray for Jim and pray for Jim, and we'd had all-night prayer meetings even for Jim. And Sunday night, Christmas night, I didn't know Jim was there. Miss Ford sitting right back here, about 6 rows from the front, next to the aisle. Jim had snuck in way back in the back corner of that little building out there that you'll see. Jim had snuck in out there, and I didn't know it. I preached that Christmas night. About 10 minutes before I got through, somebody stood up back in the back. It was Jim Ford saying, "Hey, preacher, hush, I can't wait no longer." And Jim Ford ran down that aisle like he was in a 100-yard dash. He knelt, and he was an alcoholic. Everybody prayed for Jim Ford. Nobody thought Jim Ford would get saved except Mrs. Jim Ford. Mrs. Jim Ford looked down there and saw Jim at the altar on his knees, and she came unscrewed back there. She used to be a Nazarene. She came unscrewed back there. She hugged the person in front of her, male or female, didn't matter. And she took the person and shook him like a bottle of medicine. "Oh, praise God. Praise Jesus, save Jim. Jim got saved. Praise Jesus." She hugged the next one, hugged the next one. I weighed 140 pounds. She weighed 240. She came after me on the platform. She's going to hug me and shake me. She grabbed me and shook me, and I was going up and down like that, and she's having a spell. Now, the reason is that she promised she'd pray 30 minutes a day. The average wife with an unsaved husband doesn't pray 1 minute a year for him. And one reason it's your fault. See, we tell people to do stuff, but we don't give them the plan with which to do it. We say go soul winning, but we don't give them the plan, the avenues and different avenues to suit their own personality. And so what we do is we say, don't not only pray for your husband, but if you'll pray for him 30 minutes a day, I'll go see him in a month. And all right, I pray for areas. Next number. Every Sunday night, when I had a young church, I taught a course during the 6 o'clock hour. It was a 4-week course for new members in the church. The first Sunday night, I teach them how to win souls. That's the first thing you all teach everybody gets saved, how to win souls. Second Sunday night, I teach them about the church program, what it offered. Third Sunday night, I teach them church doctrine, Baptist doctrine. I want to make a very strong announcement here. I am a Baptist preacher. The fourth Sunday night, first Sunday night soul winning, second church program, third church growth, and fourth church doctrine, and then fourth Christian, I'll get it in a minute. First soul winning, second church program, third church doctrine, and fourth Christian growth, how to grow in the Lord. Those things I would teach. I gave them a little autograph book, and I said, and in the autograph book it said, this page is to get the autograph of 4 deacons. These are new Christians now. Second page, it said, get the autograph of 3 choir members. Third page said, get the autograph of 2 teenagers. Next page, it said, get the autograph of 2 senior citizens. I wanted them to get the autograph of a cross-section of the membership of our church. Because if they got the autograph, they met those people. And they got to know the people, and the people knew who they were. Now, I say, when you get these autographs, I say, you present them to the church office, we'll give you a free book. We still do that, by the way. If you present it to the church bookstore, you get a free book in the church bookstore. We had the autograph book. Also, that meeting I had with the people, these new members, I'd give them coupons. One coupon said, present this to the church office on Sunday morning for a gift. Second coupon said, present this church office on Sunday night for a gift. Third coupon said, present this church to the church office on Wednesday night for a gift. What am I trying to do? Get the folks come to church on Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night, the new converts. Now, I did this myself. Of course, you're too busy. You're practicing your gospel swing, but you don't have time for this. You pastor 200 people. You haven't got time to do all stuff like this. I understand that, but that's what we did. Then, let me give you, in closing this session, let me give you the way we've organized a little bit our soul winning back in the early days. Now, you understand, we didn't have all these thousands of people like we have now, hundreds of thousands like we have now. Took a census at Grange Hall Baptist Church, had 7 prospects, as I said, that's all we had, unsaved people. So I turned to Luke chapter 14 and the story of the great supper. A certain man made a great supper, and bad men he said they're serving supper time, and so forth. Now, I noticed it said several places that those servants were told to go. Highways, hedges, streets, lanes, halt, blind, and so forth. So I organized my church that way. I found out that the highways were supposed to go to the highways. I'm not sure what that word means in the Greek. I don't know. But I do know what a highway is. So I got a committee of 10 people that went out every highway and witnessed everybody on every highway to the next city. It says hedges. I figured if highway meant a big road, hedges meant a country road. I got 10 people organized for soul winning. They did nothing but go soul winning on country roads leading out of our city all the way to the next city. They were the country soul winners. Then it says streets. I thought that meant the main streets, so I got a committee of 10 people, did nothing but go downtown, witness downtown all the time. It says lanes. I guess that meant the neighborhoods. I organized 40 people to visit every home in the city of Garland, in the neighborhood, knock on every door in the city of Garland. By the way, when I left the city of Garland, 27,000 people, these knuckles had knocked on every door, or that finger had pushed every doorbell in the city of Garland before I left. Of course, you're too busy for that. I understand that. You're too busy because you're playing in the local golf tournament and you don't have time for it. So we sent 10 folks to the highways. We sent 10 folks to the hedges, country. We sent 10 people downtown. We sent 40 people in the streets of the city. I got a list of every crippled person in our entire county and had a committee of 10 people to visit regularly. Everybody was crippled. It says the lame, the halt. I got a list of every blind person in Dallas County. And we sent 10 people to work with those blind people. That's all they did was work with those blind people. I sent a committee of folks every week to the airport, and a committee to the bus station, and a committee to the train station. You say, you can't build a church like that. Now you listen to me. If you'll get busy, forget building the church, and you just try to get everybody out of hell, you can. You'll be amazed how many people God would love to send to a church like that. You'll be amazed. Amazed. Now, here at First Baptist, we have many soul-winning choices. You see, for most churches, it's Thursday night visitation or nothing. Now, we don't do that here. There are some people I just really wouldn't want to go knock on a door in Silkstocking Lane. There are some people in my church that are more adapted to witnessing to the homeless people. Now, don't misunderstand me. Most of the folks that work with the homeless people certainly would represent our church well, anywhere in a neighborhood. But I'm going to list you a few of the things. Last Sunday morning, over 1,600 people walked the aisle for salvation. Where'd they come from? I'll just sort of list them. We have 3 ladies' foster clubs, a club of ladies that meet for breakfast or a meal, and they are organized into a club. You've got to join a club. It's called the Foster Club. They go soul winning. We have 3 of those. We have a fisherman's club for men. It's a club. They meet every Saturday morning for breakfast, and it's their combination of their lodge, their civic club, and their soul winning. They meet there. They have fellowship. They have breakfast. And they go out soul winning. We have a Candle of the Lord club, another ladies' soul winning club. We have a college wives soul winning club for the wives of college students. We have a men's soul winning time. We have our buses. We have our high school Bible club. Listen, Dr. Robertson, we baptized 1,000 public school students last year came through our high school Bible clubs. 1,000. Just Bible clubs alone. And by the way, Sunday morning, we had some of their parents saved. They came for the big day. Some of their parents got saved. We have a Sunday school class just for the parents of public school Bible club kids. And We have our ministry to especially the black people. Now we have black folks come to our church, of course, regularly. These you saw up here a while ago are faithful in their church attendance, and I love them, and I'm honored to be their pastor. But a lot of black folks won't come to a predominantly white congregation. So in the afternoon, on Sunday afternoon, we have our G Sunday School. That's a service for black people right here on this corner. We have our Spanish ministry. Our Spanish, we have a 4-story building over here. We bought it from a furniture store, a beautiful auditorium. They have an auditorium that seats about 1,200 people, built like this, just as nice as this is. They'll average 1,500 to 2,000 every Sunday. One Sunday in December, I think it was, they had 5,700 people in the Spanish church alone. We have our Oriental ministry, where we have Oriental church. We had about 6 or 8 Oriental people saved last Sunday morning. We have our father-son soul winning, where dads and son, junior boys and primary boys and their dads can go soul winning together on Saturday. We have the deaf soul winning. We have the blind soul winning. We have the educable slow soul winning. We have the sailor servicemen ministry. We'll probably baptize, I'm going to throw a guess out and say we'll baptize 250 sailors every year in the Great Lakes Naval Base up here. We have our truck driver ministry. We go to these truck stops, and we'll have over here in this corner, we'll have anywhere from a dozen to last week 55 or 56 or 57 truck drivers. I'll guarantee you we had a dozen truck drivers saved last Sunday. And we have our jail ministry, our homeless ministry. Every Sunday, about 75 people sit right up there in that mezzanine. They were picked up off the streets in Chicago, slept all night on the sidewalks. Most of them on down Lower Wacker Drive, and we bring them to church and we feed them and get the gospel to them. You'd be amazed the letters we've gotten from men that got back with their families and have jobs now that were saved through the homeless ministry. We have our shut-in ministry, our rest home ministry, house-to-house soul winning, a rescue mission, the project ministry, Spanish Fishermen's Club, Spanish Ladies Soul Winning, Spanish Teen Soul Winning. All of these things we have, always trying to get everybody that we can. And that pretty well brings me all the time I'm going to have for right now. And so it's time to give you a chance to purchase some books and order some tapes. So please do not leave. If you do, you'll be on my list. I'll never recommend you to a church. I'll write your church and tell them what an unfaithful person you are, and do the best I can to split your church. All right. I said don't leave. Okay. Hey, this book right here, $9. It's called Today. It has every day. I just opened it here. October 30th. John Adams was born. Bob Jones Sr. was born 1883, and I got 3 paragraphs about Bob Jones Sr. Took me 17 years to collect all of this and write this book. Let me just take another chance. What's your birthday, John Price? December 11? 7. December 7. Oh boy, that's Pearl Harbor Day, isn't it? Let's see. Just one thing here. Jacob Knapp was born. Jacob Knapp was a New York evangelist, born 1779. The atmosphere seemed impregnated with a divine influence. God gave him wonderful ministry. Jacob Knapp was the fellow that would go preach at the back door so folks couldn't leave while he was preaching. And he'd preach at the back door and other things. This book is $9, and it'll help you in your daily devotional book, your family. It'll help you on a radio broadcast or anything. Then, this book right here, How to Treat Different Type Church Members. Boy, every pastor, listen to me. We don't have enough talking right back in here. Listen to me carefully now. How to treat the fallen, treatment of the weak, treatment of the strong, treatment of the heartbroken, treatment of followers, treatment of those who have qualities that are irritating, treatment of your friends' enemies, treatment of enemies. Another chapter on treatment of enemies. When you got as many as I got, it takes 2 chapters to take care of it. Treatment of those who are stumbling blocks. Why we have strife in our churches. Act, don't react. Leaders and followers. My 10 commandments when sinned against. Choosing your friends in the church. The end result of improper relationships. The principle of waiting. Dying for fellow Christians. 19 chapters. It is one of the most important books a man could ever own. The treatment of different type church members. It's $6. This one. How to help people reach their potential. The chapter here on helping your wife reach her potential is worth the price of this book. It's only $6. How to help your follower reach his potential. How to help your leader reach his potential. How to help church members reach their potential. How to help your wife reach her potential. How to help yourself reach your, listen to me, reach your potential. How to help your children reach their potential. $6, all it is. How to help people reach their potential. This has never been offered. Never. I'm almost sure that this is the one. Yes, never sold before. Nobody has this. Nobody. I preached, 7 sermons. 6 sermons on my life story. I'm talking about many years ago. Probably about 1958, not sure. But these are sermons. There's 7 sermons here and 6 of my life story. In fact, I think all 7 of them deal with my life story. First is my childhood. Second, my teen years. Third, paratroopers and early ministry. Fourth, early pastorates. Fifth, Miller Road Baptist Church. 6, these years in Hammond. 7, a summary, doing God's will. Has a picture of each of my churches here, the buildings of each 5 churches, and it has me about how I looked at those 5 churches. It shows how I've gotten cuter as the years have come and gone. This is $20. Nobody has this. We've never done this before. We've forgotten all about it. I preached them years ago, and for this meeting we had these made, and they're $20. All right, $20 for Jack Hyles' life story. How to help people reach their potential is $6. Treatment of church members is $6, and the book today is $9. Ushers, would you take your places? And if you want any of these, you can get them right now. While they're doing this, if you have a question about anything that has been discussed since Monday night, just scream at me and I'll find you and we'll answer your question. Raise your hand if you want to buy in the material, but if you want to ask a question, you're going to have to holler at me and get my attention. So I'll know. Yes, sir. Don't start your question. Just holler, Brother Hyles. I heard somebody over here. Who said Brother Hyles over here? Where are you? Okay, real loud. Sir? Turn that volume up just a bit. I'm old and deaf. The offense for your neighbors. No, sir. I did not preach at that time. That's a PR time. That's like the ad in the newspaper. That's like the radio broadcast. I'm trying to get them to come to church, not to keep them from church. So I don't preach at that time. I greet them. I'm friendly to them. We make it a time where they're highly honored. I heard somebody over here. Yes, sir. Please do not talk unless you're dealing with the men. Yes, sir. I taught that at about around 6 o'clock. Service starts at 7. I taught it about 6 to 6:45. That was the 4 courses on Sunday night. Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about how you got your sailor ministry started and what obstacles you may have run across.
Okay, that's too general, but I'll tell you how it got started. We never start a ministry here unless we have somebody burdened for the ministry. I never think of a ministry and look for somebody to run it. I find somebody burdened for a ministry and then we start it. Our Spanish department with we'll probably average year around 1,800 to 2,000. I'll probably baptize at least 1,000 people a year from the Spanish department. Now, a lady in our church on our staff named Rose O'Brien is from Spain. She knew the Spanish language. She got burdened about those that speak the Spanish language, and she said, "I'd like to start." You're not listening to me. You asked me a question. Now you're talking. I know what you're talking about. Sit down and listen to me. And so Ms. O'Brien got burdened about the Spanish people, started a small Sunday school class. Now when it got to where we had enough to have preaching, we put a Spanish-speaking man in there. Ms. O'Brien worked with him, but he was the pastor. Now we do the same thing with the sailor ministry. I'm trying to give you a philosophy, not a little pinpointed answer. We do not start anything here without a person who's got a burden for it. The truck stop ministry, a man got interested in the truck stop ministry, and so I found out about it. I called him in. We had an appointment. We started the truck stop ministry, and now it's one of the biggest things we have here. Sailor ministry, we had a fellow named Larry Bullard got concerned about the sailors, and I called him in. We organized a sailor ministry. I never start with the ministry and look for the worker. I start with the worker and then start the ministry. Now you say, well, how you get folks burdened? You preach burden to them. You preach for them to get burdened about everybody and everything and looking for something. Ideas. Yes, sir. Stand up. She said, yes, sir. Public school ministry is a Bible club ministry. Brother Jeff Owens is in charge of it. We go to public schools in the area, and we have Bible club ministries, and we have a Hammond High Bible club ministry, and the high schools in the area have Bible club ministries. And our workers go out on Saturday and find these people, and they have club meetings. And then we have a high school 3 Sunday school department that's just for these public school Bible club people. They come to Sunday school on Sunday morning. We bus them to Sunday school, and they meet together. They're not ready yet to come with our Hammond Baptist High School people. And it's Bible club we organize all over the area. And we have people saved I'm sure we had 100 folks last Sunday saved through the Bible club ministry. That's not that way every Sunday, but it'd be unusual if we didn't have a half a dozen at least on a Sunday. Holler at me and stand up. No, sir, the book Meet the Holy Spirit is right now, we're sold out of them. We're having some more printed, but we're sold out of them right now. I'm sorry. That's right, isn't it, Rocky? Okay. Louder, please. Yes, sir. No. Didn't make what? They die, they go to the booger man. Look, if you want to do it differently, you do it differently. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm answering your question. I want to give you facts and not argue with you. Who has another question? Yes, sir. Yes, we started alcoholic ministry, and we've made alcoholics out of many people. We reach alcoholics through the rescue mission, of course, and then we reach alcoholics also through the street ministry. Yes, sir. My favorite time for radio ministry is mid-morning. That's my favorite time. My second favorite time is afternoon time while they're driving home from work. Well, if I can afford it. Sometimes I couldn't afford one but once a week. A lot depends on what size the town, what size the station, what price it is. I'm going to have one more question. That's all. Whoever hollers first. You think we'll let a man ask a question who's got a beard or not? Go ahead. Okay, ask a question now quickly. We used to have a ministry to Purdue University. We went down and just witnessed to them on the week, and we ran a bus. I have never had a special, well, they had that, but Purdue University is quite a distance. All the colleges we have in this area just about are drive-in colleges. We have hardly, I don't even know of a dormitory college we have in this area. So we're not too experienced at that. All right, now then, if you want the service last night on video or audio, or if you want the sessions this morning on video or audio, or if you want to order anything we've had so far on video or audio, I need you to get an envelope, and I need to help you order it right quickly. So would you raise your hand, please, if you want an envelope, right quick like, and the fellows will give you one. All right, quickly, listen to me now, no talking. When you get the tape, the envelope, write your name, address on it quickly, please. Write your name and address on the envelope. By the way, let me say this. The video we showed Monday night about the sermon on fresh oil, the speaking is on it also. The audio, everything I said over here while the video is being shown is on it also. Everything, the entire speaking is on it. So if you want Monday night, it's $30 for video, $6 for audio. You can pay it all, or you can put 1/3 deposit on anything, and we'll bill you for the rest. If you want Monday night, check Monday night, put either video or audio. Yesterday morning, either video or audio. Yesterday afternoon, either audio or video. Last night's service, audio or video. Some of you guys have services when B.R. Lakin was preaching, when R.G. Lee was preaching, and some of you guys have services when Bob Jones Sr. was here, and John R. Rice was here, and Lester Roloff was here, and Curtis Hudson was here. And those things you'll treasure. Now, please don't let me get you down the dumps, or I'm dead sure not down the dumps, but the day's going to come in a few years when we're not going to be here. And some of you are going to wish you had some videos of men who are preaching now. And so, all right. By the way, I don't make a dime on any of this stuff. Not a dime. I make a lot of dollars, but no dimes. If you want last night, check it. If you want this morning, put audio or video, whatever you want. As I said yesterday, Visa, Discover, MasterCard, or food stamps, doesn't matter how you pay for it. Now then, let me read off these lists to you real quickly. Everybody listen carefully. If you want last Sunday's sermons on video, this is audio. This is audio only now. Rocky, they can order Sunday sermons on video, can't they? Real loud, Rocky. On what page? Okay, I got you. Thank you. Okay, let me put this on like this. All right, this is all audio, $3.50 per tape with a $2 deposit. Last Sunday's sermons, Sunday morning and Sunday evening, right down at the bottom, a 1. Write a 1 down at the bottom. My weekly tapes, every week, my tapes go out across the country and even to foreign countries. If you want every sermon I preach Sunday morning and Sunday night, write a 2. That's $4.75 per week, no deposit required. 3, parent-teen relationship. I called all the parents of teenagers in this auditorium and talk to them about how to treat and handle their teenagers. It's double tape, $6, $2 deposit. About a 3. Let's go soul winning. I actually win a soul to Christ on this tape. And write a 4. Logic must prove the King James Bible. Every preacher and every layman in this room ought to have it. This is not a scholar. I'm not a scholar. But I got some sense. And this is not a scholar. It's a guy's got a little sense. Trying to tell you it makes sense to believe the King James Bible. And I tell you on that sermon, there's got to be a final authority. Now, some people say the church is the final authority. Some people say the Pope is the final authority. But some people say the Bible's the final authority. If that's the case, one Bible's got to be the final authority. And I go on and on like that. Write a 5. That's logic must prove the King James Bible. Write a 5. The sermon on fresh oil, not the one in the video, but the sermon I preach on fresh oil, write as 6. Rock music sermon, write as 7. Just out the bottom of the envelope. Should men have long hair, write 8. All of these are sermons. Miniskirts in the light of the Bible, write a 9. What's behind the sex education program in our public schools, write a 10. 7 sure steps to success. That's the one that Amway gave all of their salesmen, and the National Cemetery Lot Seller Association gave all of theirs. You can write 11. Duty, that's right at 12. Others, right at 13. Is there a hell? 14. God's calls to soul winning. Dr. Bob Gray wrote me the other day and asked me if at his soul winners conference I'd preach that sermon, God's calls to soul winning. Number 15. My most unbelievable soul winning experience. You'll never forget it, I promise you. Number 16. Pawing in the Valley, sermon by Lester Roloff. He called it a sermon. And wonderful, wonderful. That's preached right here, by the way. Number 17. Payday Someday, as preached from this pulpit, R.G. Lee. That's number 18. Unisex, 19. Who Slew All These? I preached that at pastor school a few years ago. 20. One Nation Under God. Preached that at pastor school. 21 is that one. Mistaken Holy Spirit. It's a Bible study on the Holy Spirit, choosing a bride for Isaac. That's number 22. Behold, this Dreamer Cometh. Preached it at pastor school many years ago. Number 23. A Covenant of Salt. Preached at pastor school probably 20 years ago. Number 24. Faith of Our Fathers. Also preached at pastor school. Number 25. Jerusalem. Also preached at pastor school. That's number 26. This Kind. Also preached at pastor school. Number 27. Poison in the Pot. A sermon. Number 28. If I Perish, I Perish. Preached a few years ago at pastor school. Number 29. My Mother's Funeral Service is number 30. May I Change Seats, Please is number 31. From Mara to Elam and Back is number 32. Casualty. Every casualty is first casual. That's number 33. How to Handle Pressure and Difficulty. That's number 34. Now then, listen carefully. Series. All these are Wednesday night Bible studies. 26 lessons on Proverbs. 26 tapes on Proverbs. $60, $15 deposit. Right, 35. Priorities, 4 tapes, $10, $3 deposit, right, 36. 33 tapes on the church, $90, $20 deposit, number 37. The Will of God, 29 studies on the will of God, $85, $20 deposit, that's number 38. Faith, 15 Bible studies on faith, $40, $10 deposit, that's number 39. 5 tapes on the judgment seat, number 40, $15, $5 deposit. 15 lessons on friendship. Please close the door back in the back. 15 lessons on friendship. $40, $10 deposit, 15 tapes. Enemies of Soul Winning, 13 Bible studies, $40, $10 deposit. The Christian and His Clothing, 7 tapes, $20, $5 deposit. That's number 43. The Science of the Christian Life, 30 tapes, $85, $20 deposit. That's 44. Then again, The Science of the Christian Life, number 45. 23 more lessons, 53 lessons on the Science of the Christian Life. The 23, number 45, $60, $15 deposit. What happens at salvation? I've been teaching that for 21 consecutive Wednesday night. What happened the moment you trusted Christ? And that's imputation and sanctification and justification and predestination and all of that. That's $55, $15 deposit, number 46. Now, if you want last Sunday morning on video with the invitation and the baptism, $20, $5 deposit, that's number 47. Curtis Hudson Day at the college. You don't miss it. Don't miss it. One of the most amazing celebrations you've ever seen in your life. He already knew he was dying and preached the best sermon I ever heard him preach. $20, $5 deposit, number 48. Thursday afternoon on marriage. Ms. Hyles and I had a marriage lesson Thursday afternoon last year at pastor school. $20, $5 deposit, number 49. The Civic Center Bus Ministry, amazing service. Brother Ray Young preached, and we had that bus there, and unbelievable. $30, $10 deposit, number 50. The tabernacle. On this platform, we had an exact replica of the brazen altar, the golden candlestick, the table of showbread, the altar of incense, and the Ark of the Covenant. All of them. Perfect by measurement, gold-colored, the exact replica. I taught a lesson on that. We also had a real Passover that was observed here on the platform at Pastor School. $20, $5 deposit, number 51. Dr. Al Lacey preached on the King James Bible, a wonderful sermon. $30, $10 deposit, number 52. All right, just write what you want down, put what money you want to put in there. If you put it all, we won't bill you. If you put a third of it or fourth of it, or it is, I told you, we will bill you for it, for the rest. Pass them toward the aisles, please. Have one thing I want to give you before you go, and you'll treasure it. How's that? What? Pizza. Oh, shut up. How do you say shut up in the sign language? On my chest. Where's your chest?